Welcome again, everyone, to yet another That Kingsville Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Hunt, and with me, with his ever-so-present black coffee, Kevin Black, and also Steve I. Anson is across from me. Thanks again for tuning in. Just a reminder that you can find us on any one of the popular podcasting platforms, and obviously because you're listening to us,
you managed to find us.
You found us.
Great job.
So thanks, but we're always appreciative of any kind of feedback or input that you have. It's That Kingsville Podcast at gmail.com, or visit our Facebook group and drop us a line. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Kingsville Lions Club and a fundraiser that they've got going on. And we've got a special interview with Kristin Kennedy, the CEO of Erie Shores Healthcare, talking about what's going on with the vaccination clinic.
I had to step out for that interview we pre-recorded earlier because I work in the healthcare sector. But can I say that while I was at home and you guys were busy doing the interview, I was making dinner? And is there any word or phrase in the English language that better signifies that the parents have given up than breakfast for dinner?
No, yeah, that's the path of least resistance.
Yeah, it's like,
all right, kids, cereal.
It's literally staring in the fridge for 5 minutes and then breakfast for dinner. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
like you're a hero.
It's the second time it's happened to me that I've had these delusions of grandeur and thinking, this is what's in the freezer, this is what we're going to eat. And then I go to the freezer and it's not there. So don't I haul my butt out of the house and quick trip to the grocery store because this is what I told the kids we were having. And well, that's what we had. At least it wasn't fast food today.
At least you didn't get home from being at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Actually, I was there 2 hours earlier getting milk and bread. And
but yeah, so it was breakfast for dinner. So I was eating toast while you guys were talking to
There's some
Kristin.
good content that we have here. You know, you might find that Kevin might drop off while the segment's going on. But anyway, that's why Kevin's not involved. We'll also be talking about some town council news. So yeah, well, you know, new segment, news and town council. So anyway, again, thank you for joining us today. The Kingsville Lions Club has got the Play It Forward in Lions Park fundraiser going on. Right now, they're trying to raise funds in order to make an all-inclusive playground designed to fit children for all abilities. And if you're aware that the Lions Hall property is undergoing this transformation, this is to further equip it with that kind of equipment that any child of any ability can play and enjoy at the Lions Hall. So if you would like to make a donation, it's www.kingsville.ca/playitforward. And they've got a goal of $65,000 to raise funds in order to afford this equipment. And they're about halfway, a little over halfway to their goal. So, you know, if you're in the neighborhood, stop by. They've already got a basketball court, some walking paths done. But the next phase is another multi-use court. And again, some of this playground equipment. The BIA dollars have also been extended to the end of March. So if you got your fingers on some of those, you might want to go spend them before the end of March. I know, this is riveting information, isn't it?
Can't wait.
Small town news.
Hey, it's good times.
Small town news. So yeah, BIA dollars, that's quickly coming to an end, obviously with COVID and the gray lockdowns and whatnot. It's been extended. So
wasn't the Lions, sorry to backtrack, but wasn't the Lions thing in the capital budget? Why are they fundraising for it?
I think it's for the inclusive equipment.
So specific. So why wouldn't they just have put that in the budget?
I don't know, Ken.
Why doesn't council care about the residents enough to pay for it with tax dollars instead of making them pay for it through fundraising?
Should we ask council?
Well, actually, to be fair, I mean, Parks and Rec over the last several years have been doing a bang-up job restoring and replenishing playground equipment. And it's people like Melissa Tremaine-Snip have really led the charge on inclusive equipment. So I think this is just the town has put the funds in to do the drainage and, as Dave said, sort of the restructuring of the park, if you will. But I don't know that specific equipment was ever part of that capital funding. So at the end of the day, the Lions have their name on it, and the Lions do obviously fantastic work, as all the service clubs do. And I think this is a feather in their cap, if you will, a piece of their pride that's going into the park. So
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, no, I'll take it back.
Would love to know what the full answer
is.
All
right.
with that.
I mean, I'd rather they just, instead of doing these silly fundraisers, just actually pay for the stuff. But That's fine.
I'm not privy to that.
There's some other stuff I'm sure the Lions Club could be doing with that money, but all right, cool. Am I wrong?
Again, I don't know why or what the budget deliberation or what the town approved and why not, and what maybe this is going above and beyond the original scope of the project. I don't know.
Okay.
I agree. If you're going to do something, do it right.
It is good.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, you should give to it because your council wouldn't.
Yeah. You're shot out of a cannon today, Ken.
Wait, what did you have breakfast for supper? Like,
that's what happens when I have toast early.
You sure that's black coffee in that container over there? Aye. So as we were speaking earlier,
fundraising for capital just irks me. Drives me nuts.
They should fundraise for schools.
Like, they do fundraising for capital. It's called your taxes.
Yeah, but it's just a new fun way to, label it.
Sure.
So yeah, you get to sit this one out. So as we were discussing, as we were saying, we were privileged to have Kristin Kennedy, the CEO of Erie Shores Healthcare, call in and discuss the upcoming COVID vaccination clinic and what's happening with the Erie Shores Healthcare and projects going forward. So enjoy. Now joining us on That Kingsville Podcast, we've got Kristin Kennedy, CEO from Erie Shores Healthcare, joining us today.
Welcome, Kristin. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, Steve and Dave. Much appreciated.
Oh,
you're very welcome.
This is exciting. This is good. And you are our first guest, so you are esteemed company on your own at the moment. But this is a wonderful way to start. First of all, can you please just speak to how you and the team at Erie Shores Healthcare have handled the extreme demands of the past year, including cases related to COVID and other illnesses and issues that just are always ongoing in the healthcare industry?
Sure, that's a great question to start us off with. It's definitely been a challenging year, not only for the frontline staff and the physicians, but the leadership team as well. I'm sure you can imagine change was coming fast and furious over the last 12 months. So a constant state of change for everyone to adapt to, sometimes multiple times a day. But everyone handled it with grace, and it was really important for us as a team to really look and how we can lean on each other for support, as well as remembering why we work in healthcare. And it's really about protecting patients and caring for patients and more broadly your community. And we definitely saw that last summer when we were at the forefront of caring for the agri sector, as well as some of our long-term care homes in the county as well.
Right. Yeah. Not an easy task this year. Definitely something out of the ordinary, to say the least.
Yeah. And I think the respect factor is certainly shown in the community through the signage that I see.
Yeah.
And the response has been fantastic. More prevalent at the moment is the COVID vaccine. Can you talk about, please, the rollout, how it's going, and what the plans are for the immediate future?
Absolutely. So last week, Public Health, so Windsor-Essex County Health Unit, began vaccinating at the Nature Fresh Farms Recreation Center, so the old Shirk Center, and they started last Monday and are seeing approximately 360 individuals each day. And that is for the 80-plus population in the county areas, predominantly serving Harrow, Kingsville, Leamington, and Essex, although individuals can drive from Windsor to this access point if needed as well. And it is all random. It's through a lottery. And currently it's running 8 hours a day. However, we know as we receive more vaccine, the demand will be greater. So Erie Shores will be helping to augment some of the staffing needs that public health will have over the upcoming weeks. And Erie Shores will also be helping to oversee, in partnership with Essex Windsor EMS, the agri-center and agri-sector farm workers, their vaccination plan as well. And right now we're in the development phase of that at Erie Shores with our community partners and really strategizing on how we will roll that out. Over the coming weeks, we'll be seeing where they will fit within the priority framework. They are not quite in that phase yet, but as soon as we have that, we'll be ready to go, which is very key for this area.
Absolutely, with some vulnerable population being predominant residents of this area, getting a good rollout with a well-oiled plan is going to be crucial for our population here.
We definitely want to minimize some of the challenges that our local farm owners had over the summer last year. We don't want a repeat of that. So we are quite anxious to help be at the forefront of helping that group.
Beyond COVID, we'd also like to give you an opportunity to talk just a little bit about anything else that Erie Shores Healthcare is moving forward with. Anything you'd like to or can share with us at the moment?
Yeah. So right now, although all things seem COVID, we are attempting, now that wave 2 is behind us, to start to get back to some normal hospital operations. And we have some really great initiatives upcoming in the next year and into the next 2 to 3 years, I guess, more long term. We have a diagnostic imaging redevelopment. So we are currently actively working with the Erie Shores Health Foundation on a Care Happens Here campaign. And that's really to fundraise dollars to help support all new equipment, diagnostic imaging equipment, mammography, ultrasound, CAT scan, and X-ray equipment, as well as some of the infrastructure requirements that are needed for that. And we do a fair amount of diagnostic imaging tests, not only through our emergency room, but also outpatients, as we don't have any private external diagnostic imaging programs that support the county in this area specifically. So that's a great initiative that we're excited to roll out and have top-line care and equipment available for our residents in Leamington and Kingsville specifically. And then another great initiative we have upcoming within the next 9 months is the introduction of chemotherapy at Erie Shores Healthcare.
Oh, wow.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, we're very proud of that. That was one of the key things that we've heard from our residents, is that they were challenged in having to drive and commute back and forth to Windsor Regional Hospital's Cancer Center for their treatments. And there are some chemotherapy treatments that can be provided at what's called a Satellite 4 program center. And it is an offshoot of the regional cancer program. And we are really excited to launch that. We're working collaboratively with the Cancer Center at Windsor Regional Hospital to work through being able to open that hopefully in the fall.
Yeah, absolutely. Pending any, major setbacks via
what
we've been going through for the past 12 odd months or whatnot. Yeah, no.
Yes.
Exciting.
Oh, that is. And then lastly, if you can, Kristin, just when I've been out delivering mail, I've seen a lot of signs, whether they're homemade or generated from a business, just showing support, particularly for healthcare workers. What has that done for the morale of everyone involved with healthcare?
I think it's really been important and really helps our healthcare workers know that when they come to work, they're supported. They have the backing of our community. It has been, again, a very pressure-filled year. And as a small rural hospital, 58-bed hospital, we have done exceptional work, and we've done more with less than many of our counterparts have had to do over the last year. So I think it's a testament to those that work inside the hospital proper, but the outreach that they have done in the community to keep our residents safe has just been awe-inspiring, and having that support from our communities really just means the most to us.
That's great.
Absolutely.
And I don't think we'd be out of line just saying thanks to you and your team for all the fantastic work you've done prior to COVID, during COVID, and that's going to continue on beyond COVID. So we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. We appreciate everything that everyone's doing, and best wishes for the future.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Happy to be the first guest.
That's awesome. Thanks, there we go. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And a new segment, Council News. This is what's happening in Kingsville Town Council. some updates. Unfortunately, Kevin, Steve, I don't know if you've gone to the municipal website. It seems that there's a bit of a gap in the minutes from the meetings. So we got some information and some taken from some of the agendas, but we don't really have what transpired. For instance, the midterm strategy meting that we discussed in podcast one. Was it podcast?
Yeah.
There's only two other episodes.
So many.
Yes.
So we don't know what happened necessarily from their receipt of that report. So still waiting on those minutes. We'll discuss them absolutely when we get them. But as of right now, we don't know what happened. They had a meeting. They talked about some stuff, and we're hoping some things happened. But in other news, Kingsville Pickleball has been awarded $330,000 for the installation of their pickleball courts at the Kingsville Recreation Complex. Can we get a round of applause for Kingsville Pickleball? Woo!
It's my favorite kind of ball.
I prefer foot and or base. You're more of a pickle guy. As we were discussing last podcast, that Kingsville Town Council has officially adopted Open Streets 2021 as a town event. They've also assigned a committee, an advisory committee, which I am a member of.
Oh, who's on it?
Some people, some stuff. We're transpiring.
What?
I can't remember everybody.
How many people?
43,000. No, I think there's
that's the entire population.
8 or 9 of us. But yeah, most of them being business owners within Kingsville. Heather Brown, Troy Loop,
Kyle
Sala, myself.
Laura Luciar's
the chair, and the co-chair is Tony Gaffin. And there's a couple other individuals, and I apologize right now. I would have to go through the email list because I've met a couple of them for the first time as well. We had our first meeting last night, continuing the conversation about formulating what's going to happen for this year. But a lot of good ideas and opinions have come out so far. So just making sure that, if COVID allows and what's going to happen within the parameters of how we can convene for Open Streets. But the idea is to, again, make it a better event than it was last year, and taking into consideration what we can and can't do and how to make it a quality event.
Who's staff support on that?
Karen Loney she's the manager of events and programs,
Parks and Rec.
So yeah, she's the municipal representative, and she's indicated that there's support staff back at the municipality as well to help orchestrate. So again, from the notes, Councillor Lucier requests an update on enforcement of the light nuisance bylaw, and there's a report to come back to council within 30 days. So within the next couple of council meetings.
What meeting was that?
I believe this was at the last in February as part of their agenda.
So it'd have to come back to the next meeting to meet the deadline.
Right. So it would be this. Yes, the 22nd would be the next meeting.
Yeah.
So
right.
Hopefully we'll have that report. If not, maybe I might be speaking. It might be the following meeting. But over the next 2 meetings, it should be submitted. So I know it was one of the hot topics.
The enlightening.
Yeah. Honk, 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 honk. There we are. See, I'm just. Oh no! There we were. Spice it up. Yeah. So there was a lot of concern with the light from the greenhouses being a big issue with the midterm review. So we'll see what happens and what comes back, and just how much enforcement and what the situation is and what the report does come back when we get the minutes. Maybe. But the big hot topic around Kingsville is, as everyone knows, that there's been some development on Main Street in Kingsville. 183 Main is coming back to council with an amended proposal for the property site. So the owners of the property, the Grotto Investment Group, have prepared a new proposal which retains the house on the property, but also adds a 3-story, 22-unit building behind it. So what they're trying to do is honor the preservation of the heritage designation proposal, but still being able to utilize the property for their multi-use dwelling facility. So right now, and I probably, unfortunately, when this goes to air or goes to production, it'll be too late for anyone to register with the town to speak at the meeting. I believe the deadline's the 18th of March in 2021. So it will go to council on March 22nd. If by whatever chance, if anyone hears this and has the ability to either listen or participate in the council meeting, that's when they're going to discuss this. I know the internet's buzz about what's happening. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
What do you think of the proposal?
What do you think? What do I think of the proposal? I think that if this is going to appease those that find that there's heritage value in that house, that this is a valid proposal to preserve that. I don't think the heritage designation includes anything else on the property, like if I may say so, right? Like, look at the Alamo. It's right in the middle of San Antonio, Texas, around skyscrapers, right? It's designated the heritage site, but, you got to have a city around it kind of thing. So I don't know. Steve, what do you think?
You've got a nice frontage there with if you maintain the home. I think sometimes some of the fear with development is the appearance of it. Does it fit in with what we're used to, what we're accustomed to, or what maybe we expect from a town like Kingsville? I mean, we're not Niagara-on-the-Lake, who have specific parameters in place for developing buildings. Could it appease everyone? Probably not. But will it appease some? I think so. But I think the way Kingsville has been growing and going, this sort of development is unfortunately inevitable.
Yeah, we have mandates for intensification of dwellings, right?
Yes.
That's not just an affordable housing issue. There's also an intensification mandate.
Right. Well. And I use the word unfortunate, and I guess I say that only because I'll speak out of both sides of my mouth. I live in an area that's relatively new. It's new development. And at the same time, I think sometimes Kingsville is growing too fast. I think there's too much development, my personal opinion. But at the end of the day, more people is good in a lot of ways, but the headaches come with it. We've seen the traffic at certain times of day.
I think too that procedurally council's kind of stuck. Because this gets around the argument that it's a heritage building, right? Mm-hmm. So the developers, it's a very smart proposal, and it's appeasing some of the naysayers, but at the same time, it's basically putting council on notice that turn us down and you'll lose at the review tribunal because you approved something very similar across the street already. Mm-hmm. And so they pretty much are daring council to turn them down. It'll be interesting to see how council reacts to that, because they're going to get a lot of people in front of them that are going to be very angry, and they're going to lay out what will sound like a great proposal. But at the end of it, if they don't approve it, they're going to go to the tribunal. And I mean, in my experience of knowing how those usually end up, they'll lose. Mm-hmm. And that'll be legal fees, and that'll be staff time to prepare those documents when they just decided not to make the difficult decision in front of a bunch of constituents.
I think that's why they created the Main Street Development Committee as a retroactive step in order to develop some parameters with regards to the way that future developments sort of happen within that corridor in Kingsville, right? These couple of developments that have been already approved, the three that kind of border the current high school site, have all had their site plan approved, and, it's what's done is done. It's going forward, and anything new.
Well, the medical building hasn't had site plan done yet. The two back condos.
Oh, no, right, but the existing building is already...
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so obviously, right, but right. The condos don't have site plan yet.
Right, but that's still phase 2 and 3 of that development property. So that it's, again, in process, and I don't. Hopefully we'll be able to get somebody on That Kingsville podcast that can speak about it in authoritative... Stay tuned, folks.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
And at the end of the day, we all have our opinions and ideas of what Kingsville is and what we want it to be. But if that development fits in with what the Ontario Municipal Board has as its parameters, council doesn't really have a leg to stand on.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't. And it'll be grandstanding, if anything else. It'll be a bunch of showboating in front of angry people that, unfortunately, will, it could end up kind of being an aside to what should be a fairly straightforward and for some people, unfortunate decision. You can't tell people that they can't build something if someone's building the same thing across the street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's precedent set. There's prior art. You purchase a property with the intent, you get a site plan approved, or you've got an example in existence. There isn't anything that's legitimately, unless there's, some sort of like deposit of the rarest materials on earth on that property, right? Like, no, you can't. That's unobtainium there. You can't build on it. There is nothing. We can't find unobtainium anywhere else.
Well, no, they'd still just dig it up and then build the condo.
They would just.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending spring of
it's like, look, we found 75 dinosaurs. Let's wait for 5 years. We'll dig up all these dinosaurs and then we'll build the condo. Like,
you could call it Jurassic Place.
Jurassic Place.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's convenient. Don't use the logo. That's trademark Disney.
Well, that would make it worth a heritage designation.
It would. No, development's a tough topic because there's many different trains of thought about how things should happen. And yeah, some people think things are happening too fast. Some people think that they're not happening fast enough. Case in point, we'll have a Dairy Queen in Kingsville now. Like, I never thought, being a teenager, that we'd ever have a McDonald's, but that came in the late 90s, mid 90s. And then B, Taco Bell, which was every teenage kid's like dream to get a Taco Bell, but it only happened in my 40s.
Well, I don't know about TD. That was like the place to go after the bars in Windsor. I think the early 20s probably would benefit more from a Taco Bell than the teens.
Exactly. Well, but hey, wherever you could take advantage of the combo
anyone who got a medical marijuana delivery.
But now we're getting a Dairy Queen, right? Like the progression of the buildings and businesses that we're getting added to it are starting to change the demographic of what Kingsville is. So, there's a lot of naysayers that say, no, we should stop. Or my personal opinion is change is inevitable, right? Either you can be a part of the system and help make it the best for all parties or as best as you can, or you can be a naysayer and be obstructive and they'll still get their way and you won't have any input in the end result. So,
and as far as businesses are concerned, consumers have the ultimate decision on whether or not those businesses stay in town.
Yeah.
And if you don't want Dairy Queen in town, then don't go buy Dairy Queen. Mm-hmm. And if enough people don't go buy Dairy Queen won't be in town.
Mm-hmm. But the problem then becomes you've still got a vacant building that was suited for that kind of operation. It's the old paradox of big box stores once they've reached their end of life, right? Big box stores, and I know we're digressing slightly, and we'll get this back but
it is all development, like, and that's the argument, the main argument, and I know we talked a little bit before we started recording of how we want to have one episode that kind of focuses more on development.
Stay tuned.
But that is one of the key issues that people have raised, and the reality is that sometimes development, there's a possible decision council can make, and sometimes there's not.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, for some, fortunately for some developers, they've probably found the secret sauce to be able to get that one through without there really being an argument against it, a plausible one, other than please don't do it.
All right. So going forward, post these pre-approved site plan approvals, it'll be interesting to see what happens, right? Whether or not the naysayers have any ability to have any influence or not. But I know also in town council, they're talking about some potential fee changes as well.
Oh my God. So we'll
go segue.
Let's do it.
Segue.
Fees. Okay. So this one comes with a giant caveat. So, went on the town of Kingsville website because council addressed the fees bylaw at their meeting on March 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So went to the fees and charges page and brought up the bylaws to see what was approved, and I had some questions about it. So texted Mayor Santos.
Mayor
believe
Santos.
it or not,
Wow.
hit the Rolodex.
Hey.
Busted it out.
Rolodex.
And to get some guidance and some understanding on what a couple of the changes were. And it turns out that actually the fees that are posted on the website are the initial draft fees. So they aren't actually the ones that were approved, and council did make changes.
Okay.
Problem is that the minutes from that meeting have not been posted yet. Strangely.
Interesting. I wonder what's happening.
Unlike any other, same with every meeting since January 29th. But so they talked about 183 at the last Heritage Committee meeting with a verbal update.
Right.
Don't know what was said.
Don't know.
Found out what was said because I asked, but the minutes aren't there. That Heritage Planning session got deferred because they're obviously waiting to see what happens.
Yes.
Anyways, so fees. So needless to say, we're going to talk about a bunch of fees, which may or may not be real.
Yes.
And so when you hear them, and it turns out to be wrong, well, don't blame us.
If you've paid these fees, just check your receipt. And if it differs from whatever it is that we said, either you got a discount or it got an increase.
Right. Or it's
the same.
Yeah, or it's the same. Maybe
Bonus.
not. So a couple of biggies. For pheasant hunters, the permit is going to go from $12.50 if you're a resident to $20.
Bam. Hitting you hard in the pocket.
Hitting you hard. If you're a non-resident, $25.
Bam. Don't shoot
license
our pheasants. Go to your municipality. Shoot your pheasants.
Right. If you want to host some kind of instructional event at the Carnegie, like if Steve wants to hold like an instructional yoga class there,
Steve,
it's a new fee. It'll now cost you $30 for an hour.
Hey, you know what? You could make that money back quickly if I just see you in some Lulus. Oh, Steve, I'm selling tickets.
I'm blushing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Ianson in Lulus doing Downward Dog. Put that picture in your head. Erase it. Go look at a puppy or something. Just watch.
I'm so sorry, folks.
No, you're not.
So sorry.
We're doing it.
Thank God people are doing something else while they're listening to us.
Did that guy just say Steve Ianson
turned it off
in Lulu's doing Downward Dog?
Who is this Steve? I'm gonna Facebook him. So the
can't find him.
So the commemorative program, it'll cost you $550 to put, Steve on a tree. That's up from $350 before.
You know what? Every penny worth it too.
If you want a Steve bench, it's $1,650.
From
$1,500.
Oh, it's just minor cost increases. Probably raw materials.
Raw materials.
Some labor.
And, yeah,
Steve, the commemorative Steve bench. I like it. All right.
If you need some reports on property, cost increase by $100.
Labor costs, yeah. We're all busy.
Construction permits, and again, all these fees may not be right, so
maybe
stand corrected. Could just be making it up. So construction permit fees. I mean, it was written down somewhere.
It was. There was a document that we've referenced.
Yeah.
That said these things at one point in time.
New construction permits up $0.05 per square foot on your on any new construction, which that could add up.
Where's the dad joke, Steve? If I had a nickel.
I got nothing for this.
I thought it was going to be a foot-long joke. Renovations.
There we are. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary.
Renovations up $1 for a renovation permit per $1,000 in value that you're doing in renovations.
Mm-hmm. Up $1?
Up $1.
That's just loony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah!
You asked for it.
Yeah!
You asked for it.
Kind of a biggie. The minimum fee for a construction permit is so if you're just like building a shed or something, I think that's what this means. The minimum fee is jumping from $150 to $500.
Oh, hey,
so that's a little bit. So you're not going to get no more cheap permits.
No more cheap
permits.
No
more cheap permits.
You're gonna build here, you're gonna pay.
And also then if you want to knock it down, that's also going to cost you $500 instead of $150.
If you're gonna get rid of it, you're gonna pay.
So there is a couple biggies that are kind of hidden in there. Now, should say that this got deferred. These were not approved. They're waiting. Council's going to get a report back to explain what these fees are about and why they're going up. But it's local improvement charges. So, and they're charged out per meter of frontage of your property. Mm-hmm. And this for sanitary sewers. So it's going from $1.65 per meter. So if you have like 30 feet of frontage, that'd be like $1,650 mm-hmm. if they're doing a project. And now that's going to go to $290. So that'd be $29. So it's almost a double.
Oh, I think you said $1.65. I think you meant $165.
$165. Sorry, $165.
Move the decimal place.
Yes.
Two more.
Well, yeah, but you're giving us totals in meters, and then you said if you have a 60-foot frontage.
If you have 30-foot frontage, so that'd be roughly 3 feet per meter.
Thank
so
you.
That's
okay.
10.
I just wanted you to explain that just for those of us who may.
Right.
Imperials versus the metric.
There you go.
Sorry, I did some quick conversions.
No, that's great. No, I'm glad you did. But just so people are aware that you've done the math.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and for storm sewers, it'd be $125 a meter. So 30 feet of frontage would be about $1,250. That's going to $250, so about $2,500 for an average home. And where these get charged is if they're doing sewer work in front of your property mm-hmm. on a smaller scale capital project. So like if they're going to be redoing randomly Stanley Street and they're going to put new sanitary and storm sewers in, then the property owner would get charged these local improvement charges, mm-hmm. And they're billed out by the footage or the frontage of your home. So council's going to get a report back that explains what I just explained on the podcast. And
when do you think we're going to get those minutes? June?
Yeah, maybe July.
July, yeah. Any bets?
I was going to say August initially.
August. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Well, we got the summer covered.
We do.
But that could end up being major. And what that does is so the project would ultimately cost the same. Right. So let's say it's $100,000 project and they're going to raise $50,000 from just randomly from local improvement charges. So mm-hmm. that means the general tax base will pay less money for projects that are happening in small areas, but the homeowners in those small areas will pay more money.
Yeah. So wonder how this is going to come back in the deferral and whether or not we're going to just, level this out a little bit better. Right.
It's probably something because it could end up being a fairly significant increase for some people. So it's probably something, and I think council did the right move. It's something that should be broken out. It should be explained.
Right.
There should be a report that a resident can be pointed to say, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. This is why you're being charged in. This is why it's more money now.
Right. Yeah.
Because that is pretty substantial. Also water rates and sewage rates. So the sewage rate structure is changing.
Yes.
So it was, so first on the water side, because that side's easy, it's going to be like there's a marginal increase mm-hmm. depending on your water usage. You're probably looking at like $1 on your bill.
Yep.
For sewage rates, the idea is if you don't use or if you use the average amount of water that a house would use, then it won't impact your bill.
Right.
It's going from a flat rate of, I think, $80.
80. Yeah, I was going to say 78 or $80. Something
like
that.
And it's going to go to $60 and then plus a usage on your water. And the argument is that if you are, if you live in a smaller home, if you're single, if you do a lot of work to conserve the amount of water you have.
You got some decent toilets that require one flush rather than two.
Yeah, or 5.
Or 12.
Depending on what you ate.
Ultra low flow.
Yeah, if it was bean
those
night.
Those came out of my house faster than you know what.
You know what would have been great with breakfast for dinner? Some beans. Like some baked beans on the side.
I had baked beans tonight.
Would you call that a
Did
full
you?
English?
Oh, I love that.
You got to have your bangers.
Of course.
Baked beans, fried eggs, fried toast,
tomato.
Fried tomatoes.
We've got tomato.
Yeah, bit of tomato on there, yeah. Brilliant.
So yeah, we got some fee changes, some interesting development things that are going to happen here.
Well, maybe.
We'll see if we get the minutes.
The water and sewer rates, that's passed.
Yes.
And some of those fees were passed The local improvement fees that I talked about, not passed. Coming back.
As soon as we can get our hands on some minutes or a statement or guests that come in that can speak to it, we'll confirm.
Well, and I think what'll be nice too is because a lot of this stuff happens at committees, and once we're able to properly view committee meetings again, then start to, and see some recordings of committee meetings, we can get a handle on what's happening. Because not everything that we're talking about is laid out in the minutes anyway.
No,
right?
No, there's a lot of dialogue and discussion that just doesn't get recorded.
Right.
Court reporters, but no, it'll be interesting. We'll see. Hopefully.
It'd be nice to have an official record.
Yeah,
it could be referred
for
to.
reference, because especially if you're owed a refund, you kind of want to know this. So another thing in development that's been happening in the local area, not in Kingsville necessarily, but dealing with some Kingsville developers, is in the town of Colchester. The Grove Group has got approval to build a Grove Motel in the town of Colchester. Originally, they were proposing to purchase and refurbish the Colchester Schoolhouse in the middle of Colchester and do that as a boutique hotel, I should say. But some of the local townspeople developed a quick heritage committee and put the kibosh to that right away. And they've got some approval from Essex Council in order to turn that into a bit of a multi-use facility. Another one, again. So
is that what it's being called?
That is what it is. It is going to be a multi-use facility.
So here's a building. Now figure out what to do with it.
Right. Which, another polarizing topic. I'm on the side of, if we can use it for something that attracts people to town, like an anchor, like a hotel, then that seems like a good utilization for a yet underutilized building, right? So,
no, Colchester's got some fantastic amenities.
No,
the beach and the harbor,
incredible.
Then where do you go when you're done?
Well, it's NIMBY mentality again that shut that down, right? There's people that put weight into certain structures and feel that there's more significance to the community than may be in reality. Right. Sentimentality comes into play, and the whole, failure to recognize the evolution of your community. Right. Colchester, as far as I'm concerned, needs something to continue to bring people there and to keep them within that community to help build their economic structure. And a hotel is going to do that. You've got a captive audience now.
Look how many wineries are within shooting distance of the, you get the local tour guides and
up until
right
this
back.
point, that building was surplus and didn't do anything. And if there was money that was going to be invested into it to make it a fixture within the town, then that, to me, seems like a good appropriation in conjunction with the town, so that you're not exactly just bulldozing it and using the property and putting up a Red Roof Inn or something like that. Right?
But now they've locked into another piece of property.
Correct. Yeah. So it's on the west side of Colchester, where there's that little S bend. I believe that's Dunn Road.
That is Dunn Road.
Look at me and where?
Did you grow up in Harrow?
Where is Dunn Road? We should ask that. Where's Dunn Road?
But the motel looks cool.
Yeah.
The pictures that they where I don't think it was actual renderings. I think it was more like a kind of a board of what they're thinking. But the whole retro. And if people haven't seen it yet, it's like a multicolored, really bright retro 60s kind of open air motel kind of vibe. And I think that's perfect for what they need in Colchester.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I went on holiday. Remember when you could go on holiday and go places? I went to places. I went to Prince Edward County, and they've got a motel up there, and I think it's called the June Motel, but it's exactly that. It's a snapshot of what retro. It's a really cool atmosphere that you can go and stay in, and it's a unique experience, which is perfect for a small bedroom community like Colchester. So I'm glad that a neighboring community is going to get something that's going to draw people and tourism to it, right? We're very lucky. We've got the Grove, and we've got all of the distinctive inns facilities within town, which is fantastic. It keeps captive audience here, and it's adding to some of the things that we have in Kingsville. So,
Well, and it's not like people just stay in Colchester and don't go anywhere.
No.
It's those people are just as much going to be Kingsville consumers as they'll probably pop by Harrow on their way down. Like those people are anyone in the Southern Essex region that isn't staying in Windsor is a win for us.
Right. And Garfield's and the Rec are going to benefit from it. And Colchester Bar and Grill, maybe you won't just have to eat the hot dogs on the roller there. Maybe they might add a kitchen. I don't know. It's just, we'll see what happens. Have you been to Colchester Bar and Grill? They roll their hot dogs. Gary.
It's a bit of a biker bar, isn't it?
But it's the bar in Colchester. Where else? I've been. I'm not a biker. They accepted me.
I've been.
Exactly.
Yeah. CBGs.
Hot dogs are delicious.
Hot dogs are fantastic, especially a nice long day on the beach.
Oh.
And you just meander yourself backwards.
Yep.
Or upwards.
Go into the darkness and get yourself a
you find somewhere
delicious hot dog.
Rolled hot dog. But yeah, it's exciting, right? That's a unique thing that's coming to our area that we'll all be able to take advantage of, and will continue to draw people to our area, which will help hopefully with the post-COVID reinvigoration of this region being a tourist destination.
Well, and one of the things they're doing too is they're going to bring they launched a new bike rental.
Yes.
Which is good. I mean, their Farm Dog Cycles has been renting bikes down there for ages. But there's more people in the area that are starting to come to the area. Hopefully post COVID there'll be even more, and I'm sure there'll be enough business for all of them.
And that's exactly the sentimentality. Is if there's attractions, it doesn't have to be a dogfight between businesses in order to win, because the more the word comes out, the more cooperative and the more collaborative that the business community is, the more appealing it is as a destination. So
yeah, I mean, you can do the run from the Colchester Bar and Grill to Garfield's, down to the Rec.
Listen, if I've been at CBG's, I am not running anywhere. Usually it's at a certain point in time of the day. And it's a certain point in time in this podcast. We do not have a social media post of the week. I'm sorry, we failed you.
There was one, but it was too much.
Yeah, we're not.
It was too far.
If you're on social media, you've probably seen it. So regardless, yeah, we're good with that. So I just wanted to say thank you again for listening to That Kingsville Podcast. Again, feel free to reach out to us on our Facebook page, YouTube page, or email us at thatkingsvillepodcast@gmail.ca. Again, I'd like to thank Gary for his technical production prowess and sound effects on demand. Thanks again for listening. Oh, hey! Love that trumpet. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.